This video is sponsored by Mubi. These are Bong Joon-Ho's complete storyboards for Parasite. They're meticulous, and with few exceptions, the film is a pretty direct translation of them.
깎아달라고 하지 왜?
우리 집은 복숭아는 못 먹어요. 금지과일.
그러니까 다한테서 들은 바에 의하면 그 아줌마가 엄청 심한 복숭아 알러지, 알레르기가 있다는 거야. 그 왜 복숭아 그 겉에가 완전 다 털이잖아. 그 털이 1m 근처에만 가도 온몸이 새빨개지고 호흡 곤란해, 천식에 아주 쌩 난리가 난다네.
One of the clear things we can see, comparing the storyboards to the film, is that most of the differences are places where Bong ended up going with something simpler than his storyboards. You can see this in the example I used earlier, where the storyboard indicates the peach be put into a bag while the camera tracks down. In the film, this is simplified by removing the camera pan. One reason Bong might have made this change is if the action of blowing on the peach was discovered in performance by actress Park So-dam on set, and simplifying the shot better showcased that piece of performance. Here's another example of how Bong simplifies things on set.
안 웃는 거야.
그런 여자를 도려내려면 우리도 뭔가 준비를 해야겠다.
그치. 계획이 있어야 돼.
In this scene, Bong eliminates some dialogue, an entire shot, and simplifies these two shots into a single shot. But while he'll make small changes, simplify things, or eliminate shots, he almost never adds something that isn't in the storyboard. If he does add or change something, it's usually fairly small details.
유명한 분인데 그분이 사시던 집이잖아요, 여기가.
Like moving the arrow the housekeeper grabs from the wall to above the door, or adding a fairly simple stationary shot like this one. Bong is giving the actors room to shift some things in their performance, but he's obviously not doing a lot of improvisational work on set in terms of coming up with camera movements or character blocking. Coming up with something complicated on the spot is a lot harder than simplifying a complex plan, so don't be afraid to make your scenes as complex as you want in the storyboards. You can always simplify on set. While the camera movements and scenes you're storyboarding might be complex, the storyboards themselves don't need to be. Focus on conveying the key elements of the scene as simply as possible. Character and camera movements are the first priority, but you can also convey a key element of performance fairly simply. Some lines or a head turn can indicate surprise or amazement. Some things might be too tricky to draw, and that's okay. If you need to, you can use a label. Smaller details like lighting and subtle emotions you can leave out, and sometimes the environment around the characters isn't important to the shot, especially if this has been previously established in the storyboards. Just make sure you have the core elements of the shot laid out in a clear way, the most important things being the actor's position relative to the camera, their movement, and the movement of the camera. But even though you don't need to include everything in your storyboards, and keeping them simple is good, no detail is too subtle to be included if it's important. This shot has an extremely subtle camera move.
이런 건 필요 없고요. 어차피 민혁쌤 소개로 오신 거니까.
Subtle enough that even though I've watched this film countless times and scrutinized the cinematography and editing of this scene for other videos, I never noticed the movement until I saw it noted in the storyboards. So however subtle a detail, if it's important to you, you can include it in the storyboards. In Parasite, Bong's camera is almost always moving. This movement and how it should be done is all laid out in the storyboards. Don't just stop at drawing an arrow that shows the camera moves. Give detail about how that zoom is going to be done. Is the camera doing the zooming? Is it a dolly push? Or is it a digital zoom in post? The crew should be able to know what camera equipment they'll need to pull off the shot just by looking at the storyboards. If a movement is too difficult to represent just with the frames, you can add some diagrams to help the crew better understand how you want to move the camera. Bong does this especially with the more complex scenes involving a lot of people, and it's not just for camera movement. For the chaotic finale, he includes a diagram just to show the position of everything and where the characters will be moving. Don't be afraid to whip out your phone camera. If you're planning a shoot in real locations and you know what they are already, you might as well integrate them into the storyboards. For the mansion, which Bong designed as a set, he occasionally used 3D renderings to show what the house would look like once it was built. If you have stunts or action, you have to storyboard in a way that's actually possible. For example, if you need to swap between stunt performers and actors, you need to plan a cut into the storyboard to cover up that swap. As you draw your storyboards, you're essentially pre-editing the film, so you have to think about the things that would usually be taken care of by editing. It's possible to storyboard things that would be impossible to shoot, so make sure you're thinking ahead to production and post-production. It's also important to think about the transition between shots and scenes and how you can use that juxtaposition for your story. An edit like this one that contrasts the poor family in the dark getting wet against the rich family high and dry and in the sun, or this that contrasts the rich family's closet against the poor family trying to find clothes, are specifically planned out in the storyboards. Don't forget to draw little devil horns on your characters if they're being bad. Storyboards are a powerful tool, but in the book's introduction, Bong says he doesn't think storyboarding is necessary for making good films. Bong worries that being so structured eliminates some of the magic that comes from spontaneity on set, and this might be the case. But he says that his main motivation for storyboarding is to alleviate his anxiety. If Oscar winner Bong Joon-Ho is anxious about the work he does, then you and I can take comfort in the fact that having anxiety about our work doesn't mean we lack the skill. And if we're willing, like Bong, we can find methods that help us overcome that anxiety. If meticulously planning things out and then translating those plans straight to film is what works for you, then go ahead. Storyboard like Bong Joon-Ho. Mubi is an online streaming cinema filled with high quality films that they hand curate. Their curation is one of the things that makes Mubi not just a place you go to because you're looking for something you know you already want to watch, but a place that you go to find new and interesting things to watch. The film I want to recommend to you today is the 2013 Polish film Aida. It's an emotional drama with some incredible black and white cinematography, and if you haven't seen it yet, you can check it out when you go to mubi.com/ThomasFlight to start your extended 30-day free trial. That's mubi.com/ThomasFlight. Thanks so much for watching. Special thank you to my patrons. Go to patreon.com/ThomasFlight to learn more about how you can get bonus content and support my channel at the same time.